Max, it seems rather obvious that after a decade of failed and bitterly controversial wars in strategically irrelevant countries in the Middle East that didn't achieve much, the answer is that we should not be getting involved in these brushfire counterinsurgencies in the first place, correct? Isn't that what the obvious lesson of a decade of war is?
Well, if we could avoid getting involved in wars, I think everybody would be happier. The problem is, as we've seen over the course of our long history, there's really been very few, if any, presidents who have actually succeeded in staying away from such conflicts. And especially now, almost everybody is fighting using guerrilla and terrorist tactics. And it's very hard to take a hands-off attitude, as even President Obama has discovered.
So the real lesson isn't to not listen to militaristic warmongers getting us dragged into these places, but instead, what?
I think the lessons really are, instead of taking this attitude of we're just not going to do this kind of stuff, we got to figure out how to do it better. And so what I've tried to do in this article is to draw 10 lessons from the last decade of war that will help us to do it better and be more successful in the future.
So what are some of those lessons?
Well, the immediate lesson is kind of a no-brainer, and yet it's one we keep ignoring time after time, which is let's think about what happens after regime change. I mean, we're very good at overthrowing regimes, but we're not very good about doing anything to create any kind of stability or order afterwards. This was a mistake we notoriously made in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and as a candidate, Barack Obama was very eloquent in denouncing the mistakes that President Bush had made, and then guess what? He makes exactly the same mistakes in Libya, where we did a great job of overthrowing Gaddafi, but did nothing to secure the country afterwards. And there was, I might add, a similar lack of planning for our pullout in the case of Iraq. We can't think about these as being kind of quick in and out engagements. We send some troops, kill some people, and then come back home to a victory parade.
So the practical implications of that is that we can't stay out of these things, and we can't treat them as light, quick, disposable operations, and we need to think for the long term. That implies what? A long-term benevolent imperial presence across countries around the world?
Well, I don't know if I would use the word imperial. I mean, you can if you want, but I would say we do need a long-term presence, and we need to understand that if we are making a military commitment to a lot of these situations, it should be for the long term.